Did anyone expect that we'd be getting a Kendrick project? Because I was thinking more along the lines of SZA or Isaiah Rashad or maybe even Schoolboy Q, but you know how TDE does, you never know what you're gonna get. What's up everybody? It's Luke James, not the singer. If you're an indie artist looking for an album review and some promo, you can hit up Luke at redmattersite.com. And what I have for you boys and girls today is a review for Kendrick Lamar's latest surprise album or EP called Untitled Unmastered. So right from that title, you can tell that this is basically just a collection of some unreleased / unmastered / To Pimp a Butterfly leftovers. At least that's how I was looking at this project going into it. And it also includes Untitled 3 and Untitled 8, which were the two songs that we already heard because he performed number 3 on Stephen Colbert and number 8 on the Jimmy Fallon show. So I actually didn't review either of those ones, so I'll just talk about those very briefly, since by now you guys have heard them already, you know what they're all about, etc., etc. So track number 3 I actually really liked when I first heard it on the Colbert Report, and this is the one where Kendrick is spitting from various viewpoints. He spits from the viewpoint of an Asian man who speaks of spirituality and meditation, an Indian man who speaks of the value of land, the black man who speaks of the value of sex and reproduction, and then for the white man's part, he's basically speaking on how the industry can just eat up artists, chew them up, and then spit them out. Just all the shady shit that goes on in the hip-hop industry and how people are making money off of black artists. So I thought that was a great track, and Untitled 8 was a great track as well. It has a very funky and groovy beat to it that actually reminds me a bit of something that Anderson .Paak might get on. And this one is all about money, as the chorus spits about blue faces, you know what I mean? Blue faces is in that type of money, and also sad faces. So to me, I took that as the ups and downs of money and materialism. So now that we covered those two tracks and got them out of the way, let's just start at track number 1 and go through this EP. So I thought track number 1 was pretty dope because it has a frantic jazzy beat with some nice stand-up bass, and Kendrick himself is using a very frantic type of flow. And on this one, he's basically painting the picture of the apocalypse or Judgment Day. He's talking about how the ground is opening up and swallowing people, trains are flying off tracks, there's no animals around, just all that apocalyptic shit that is going to go down on Judgment Day when you're either going to heaven or going to hell. So I thought this was a pretty cool track, and he did a great job of painting that chaotic picture. And there's also all kinds of biblical references throughout, obviously, with the horns blowing out and just some other shit about preachers who, you know, are paranoid because now they have to answer for some of the shit that they did, and just how, you know, people are trying to run and hide, but you can't escape when Judgment Day comes. So I thought that was a pretty solid track and a great way to start things off. Now, as for Untitled 2, we get some bassy, minimalistic production, and for the first half, Kendrick is working this sing-songy flow and singing about how you better get God on the phone because he sees styrofoam cups, jigaboos, and the hood has just gone brazy. So I actually didn't like this song too much. I thought the production was kind of dull and his sing-songy flow kind of just dragged along, but he does work a regular flow on the second half where he spits that him and Top Dog are like Phil and Kobe, and TDE is basically the West Coast Mafia. So it wasn't a trash track, but it was just one of my least favorites, and I wasn't really into this one at all. And if I had to pick another track that was my least favorite, I'd go with track 4, which is basically just an interlude, and I think the female vocals on here are SZA. I'm not sure exactly, but it kind of sounds like her, and her and Kendrick are just singing about the evils of the government and religion, and then they say that head is the answer and head is the future. And a lot of people are saying that that has to do with education, not just giving head, but you know how it goes with Kendrick tracks, man. People are going to take multiple meanings. So when I'm talking about these tracks, I'm just saying what I took them as, and when they were just saying head, I automatically just thought of head, obviously. It just sounded like it was kind of a fun and funny track, but maybe it was about education, or maybe it was about Al Snow. I guess it's however you want to take it. And then on track 5, we get this clangy, groovy production that to me kind of sounded like something that would be on The Love Below. And then Kendrick spits about driving over to someone's house, they're just coming home from work, and he's blowing their head off in front of their son. So that shit kind of came out of the blue to me, but I like the instrumental on this one. And we also get a solid verse from Punch on the second verse, and on the third verse, J-Rock and Kendrick go back and forth. So this was a pretty cool track. Not really one of my favorites, but not one of my least favorites either. It just didn't seem overly cohesive. maybe a little bit jumbled, just in my opinion, but it does sound pretty good. And number 6 is actually one of my favorite tracks on here. It's got a really nice CeeLo hook on there, which I wasn't really expecting, but I thought he fit in perfectly. And this one has a bit of a lounge feel to the beat, and Kendrick is just spitting about embracing who you really are, embracing your lunatic nature, just being yourself, man, and not getting caught up in what other people are saying, because we all have imperfections and flaws. So it had a great sound and also some great content on there as well. And lastly, we've got Untitled 7, which is basically 3 parts in one. So I'll just talk about the last part of this song, because all it is a jam session. And then on the first part, it kind of seems like Kendrick was just doing a parody of what's going on in rap these days. He's just spitting about all the things that won't get you high and then telling you to levitate. And there's some pretty weird lines on here too, like when he says he hopes that Santa's reindeer has some ass. So I just took it like that, man. Like he was kind of making fun of the state of rap and just how people are saying kind of bullshit things and just putting out this type of content and lyricism, and people just love it as long as the beat bangs and it's catchy. Not saying I agree or disagree with that, and that might not be what he was going for, but like I said, I'm just telling you how I took some of these tracks. And interestingly enough, apparently Swizz Beatz' 5-year-old son had his hand in on the production of this beat, and I think that was for the middle part where Kendrick works some really nice flows and is kind of sending off some stray shots, like when he says he could never end a career that hasn't even started. And a lot of people are thinking that's him getting at Jay Electronica, but I'm not too sure about that. But it was a dope line, and I did like that middle part, but the 2 outer parts, the first and third part, not so much. So I guess that would be another one of my least favorite tracks. But at the end of the day, I think this is pretty dope for what it is. I mean, it's great that they're just giving us this unreleased, unmastered music. A lot of people wanted to hear those 2 untitled tracks that we saw perform, so they gave that to us, as well as some other tracks for a nice little surprise, and I think it's pretty solid, so I give it a 3.5 out of 5. It just is what it is, and I think it's pretty amazing how Kendrick's unmastered, unreleased tracks are better than what some artists are putting out after hard work. But obviously I want to know what you guys think about this one in the comments section, so let me know. And make sure you do all that good YouTube and social media stuff, man, where you like my videos, you share them, you follow me on Twitter, you retweet the videos, and you especially subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time.